This video is brought to you by the Ridge wallet. It's light, sleek, industrial, and it doesn't fold awkwardly or bulge in your front or back pocket. Most people are still using wallets designed in the 90s, carrying around old receipts, pictures of their ex, and gift cards which have long since expired, creating an unorganized mess. In the Ridge wallet, it holds up to 12 cards, plus it has room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. The Ridge wallet also comes with a lifetime warranty and has RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketing. If you want to get a Ridge wallet for yourself, there is a link in the description. Using code TSM, you will get 10% off your order and free worldwide shipping and returns. So in the last video, I set the body aside to cure after the final coats of clear. And this time it's a couple days later. The clear coat has dried up and leveled out a bit, and as you can see around the decals there is a bit of a raised edge which needs to be fixed, and there is also a bit of texture on the rest of the flatter body panels, which of course needs to be fixed as well. So while I'm going on to those decal areas, I'm also addressing the rest of the body too by just polishing the entire thing. I'm starting off with a 3000 grit sanding sponge and using that for the entire body. Now in this case I can get away with a 3000 grit for everything and not go up in grits, as the body itself is white and the scratches are a whitish color as well, so they don't really show up all that well after a bit of polishing. Now if the body would have been black or any other darker color, it would have shown up a lot more, as of course the body was a different color than the scratches, and that would give a contrast, so you would need to go up to a 6000, 8000, and maybe even 12,000 grit as well. I have multiple videos on my channel going over the process of polishing, so if you're interested in those, feel free to check them out. In this video I'm just going to go over a bit of the basics and go through it pretty quickly. So in my case I'm using a 3-stage polishing compound set from Gravity Colors. Any other automotive polishing compound set should probably be good enough as well, so it's not specifically that you need to use this one to get this same result. There's many others out there. The first compound of the 3 that I'm using is also the roughest one and fixes the most, or at least the bigger scratches, and the other ones after this will just refine those scratches and make them smaller and smaller until they are almost not noticeable anymore. The same goes for these polishing pads as well. Compound 3 is the roughest one, and I'm using the roughest compounding pad as well. This is a wool pad. I will leave links in the description where you can buy these, so feel free to check those out. After the first stage was done, I'm moving on to the second stage. This is a little bit of a finer compound, as I mentioned, so I'm also using a finer buffing pad just to refine the scratches and get the best possible finish I can. So after stage 2 there is of course stage 3 as well, which is the finest stage of the 3. I'm using the finest finishing compound and also a fine buffing pad, which is a microfiber pad, to finish it off nicely. With the third and final stage of polishing now completed, I move on to cleaning out all of the panel lines and small cracks and crevices where some of the polishing compound may have been left over. I'm just putting it into some warm water and use a soft brush to get it out of all of those small cracks. Then dry it off and move on to the next stages in the build. In this case, I'm masking off all of the rubber moldings around the doors and also on the roof, and then painting them in a flat black. Some of the smaller details that weren't as easy to mask off were just painted with a brush, as that in this case for me is a lot easier and also cleaner to do, as there's not a clear panel line around it. I can just easily do it with a brush instead. For the antenna on the roof, there wasn't really any structure to glue it together with the roof and have a strong bond. It was just a flat surface which needed to be glued onto the roof, and that's pretty much it. Now I decided to drill a small hole in the roof and also in the antenna and insert a small brass rod, and then have a lot stronger of a bond between the two parts, and it is less likely to break off. All of the panel lines around the body also got a little bit more attention with a gray panel line accent color. Now I decided to use gray on the white, as it doesn't really stand out all that much and just gives a nice little bit of contrast. I could have used black as well, but in my personal opinion that would have been a bit too dark and a bit too in your face and not as realistic. Moving on to some other parts that needed modification. In this case it's the glass. Now the side and front glass fit perfectly fine, but the rear one is different of course than the regular Gulf body, as we're using the Jetta body instead. Therefore I just need to cut it off and will later on replace it with the part that is included in the Scaleproduction Transkit. With a couple coats of clear smoke now applied to the top section of the taillights, the bottom half needed to be painted in clear red. On the movie car, the windows were tinted pretty dark. The rear is a bit darker than the front, and that needs to be simulated as well. So I masked off everything, painted the black surrounds, and then removed the masking tape on the rear half first, applied a couple coats of the smoke clear from Tamiya, and then removed the front masking too, and applied 2 more coats, making the rear a lot darker and also giving the fronts a bit of a tint as well. I then gave all of the parts a bit of time to cure and then started the final assembly for all of the exterior pieces.